Hello, and welcome to Irish Football Fan TV. This is the final word. Apologies, we're a little bit later than expected. I'm joined by Gary Spain. We've a little bit of a new setup. If you're getting involved in the comments, type them up on the come up on the screens there. So Gary, I suppose just the final word, and what a fantastic victory. But we spoke a little bit in our aftermatch reaction and stuff on the lineup and that. So we were pretty happy enough we weren't the lineup, weren't we?
Yeah, I mean, I was happy with the lineup. It was an opportunity to experiment. It it was the last friendly before the Nations League. We won't have any more friendlies, I think, until next November. So Stephen had to use it to get a chance to take a look at a few players. Some maybe put their hand up. Some probably didn't impress. And yeah, I was happy. I was happy with the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, the only one that you would kind of look at was the fact that Troy didn't play or didn't start. Um, that was the only one for me. That was a bit of a surprise. I thought he would have came in, but he went with Robinson. He kept John Egan and he kept one more, Matt Doherty in there as well. And obviously we knew Kelleher was going to stay in, but he kept in all the players who made sense, I feel, because you couldn't just go in with all young players in those positions.
Yeah, I mean, if you are going to experiment, I don't think you can make 10 or 11 changes. I think you can make four or five, slot a few people into the system, but have some of the players around them that play regularly, and you can see if someone can come in and do a job. Whereas if you make kind of eight, nine, 10 changes, I think in some ways it makes a mockery of it. So I can see why he kept in the likes of Matt Doherty, John Egan, Chidozie Ogbene, Callum Robinson, etc. That it made sense to keep, and Queven Keller obviously, to keep in some of the starters and then to slot players in around them. And I'm actually not surprised, Troy. It's easy to look back in hindsight, obviously. If you're picking the team tomorrow, would I start Troy ahead of Will Keane? Absolutely, 100%, definitely. But you got to go back to where we were on Tuesday, and Will Keane had scored 20 goals in League One. And although Troy had been impressing his manager at MK Dons uh, and really working hard for the team, he hadn't been scoring a lot of goals. So, look, if he'd started Troy, I think people have been saying, why didn't he start Will Keane? So, it's easy to look back in hindsight and the way the game went and say, yeah, it should have been Troy from the start. But I can see why he went with Will Keane, and I wouldn't be critical of that decision.
Yeah, well, I just feel as though Troy could have played in that position that Callum Robinson picked up. I wasn't saying for him to start on.
But yeah, but then are you making too many changes then? Although Callum didn't really do much to. But I mean, I think we know what he can do, and he'll probably still be a regular starter for us in the Nations League.
Yeah, well, I was just saying for him to play maybe as the attacking midfielder that Robinson ended up playing in there. But look, as I said, it made sense. I wasn't really that critical of the selection. It wasn't far off the starting 11 I went for. So apologies if I keep stuttering over my words. I have an echo in my ear from this because we're using a new thing here, so it's a bit annoying. There's comments flying in there. Del Boy Gunner TV says hi, ball Gary. Sean O'Riordan says hi, lads. Hope all as well. And Del Boy Gunner asks what happened with the Ukraine game, and will we get a friendly in if it doesn't go ahead. We'll come to those comments, those types of comments towards the end of the game or end of the show. um, but yeah, I mean, after 8 minutes, we had the ball in the net. Ogbene scored from the Ryan Manning cross out left, but he was offside. Good move and a good goal, but it kind of got people going because the atmosphere was quite flat. But that was 8 minutes in.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a good finish. He was half a yard offside. The linesman got it right. I don't think we had VAR in operation on Tuesday night, but um, in fairness, I wouldn't be critical of the officials. I watched it back. He was definitely half a yard offside, and that's unfortunate, but it was a good finish. Yeah, the atmosphere, look, it was flat, as you said. Very different to Saturday. I mean, everybody was buzzing on Saturday, but it was Belgium number one in the world. Lithuania, I think, started on Tuesday at 137 in the world. So there is a bit of a difference.
Yeah, well, obviously, but at the same time, they didn't have their entire starting 11 out. So, um, I understand as well that it was a Tuesday night, so the people were probably still, I suppose, getting over the result on Saturday, or some people traveling and stuff like that from all over the country, and people from England and stuff like that. A lot of people went back home, obviously, after the weekend as well. So that would equate for, I suppose, the lack of seats.
Yeah, I mean, it is harder to. It's easy for us living in Dublin to get to these games, but I mean, you're getting on a bus in Donegal or West Cork, and it's a long, long way to Dublin. And particularly to do it twice, to do it on a Saturday and then have to turn around and do it on a Tuesday, and probably not getting home till 3 and 4 in the morning.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking on the Twitter from the tweets that I'd put out from the game, and 15 minutes in, Ryan Manning fires over from a free kick that was played to him on the edge of the box by Conor Howrahan. It's a good move, but he connected really badly with it. Had it went in, it would have been like Glenn Whelan's goal against Italy all those years ago. But those were our main chances. I got the half time there. The game was very flat. Not much to shout about other than an Ogbenny early goal that was ruled off by the linesman. Really need to pick it up second half. And that's kind of where we were at in the first half. We were obviously sitting beside each other, and we felt the same way pretty much.
Yeah, look, it wasn't. It was a poor first half. It was. We didn't really get going. We didn't really open them up. I mean, look, as I said, Lithuania, the 137 in the world, they came to sit back. They came for a scoreless draw, and they said, "Come and break us down if you're good enough." And we did struggle to break them down. I mean, I don't remember their goalkeeper having to make any saves, particularly in the first half. I think he had a pretty quiet game because those in front of him were working very hard and closing us down, and we couldn't get through them.
Yeah, I think they came and they parked the bus. They knew what they were doing. A 0-0 draw would have been a big result for them. Obviously, that would have been a terrible result for us, but it came so close to being that.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're, as I said, 137 in the world. They're in the bottom, definitely in the bottom 10 in UEFA. I think they're seventh worst team according to UEFA. And frankly, that's pretty accurate. I mean, we were talking before the game about the results. They did have one good win over Bulgaria, but they pretty much lost every other game in qualifying. Northern Ireland beat them 4-1 in Vilnius. Okay, they struggled a bit and only beat them 1-0 in Belfast. But they were comfortably beaten by Switzerland, Italy, etc. Um, they're not a good side, and I mean, the worry would be if we were to face them in qualifying for Euro 2024, we really would need to put them. Okay, it would be fine to beat them 1-0 with a 97th minute goal, but if we were to drop points, it would be a total disaster because if we end up with them in a group, anyone that's going to challenge for qualification is not going to drop points against Lithuania.
Yeah, but do you not think, like, I felt people were very overly negative about this game and not actually looking at the facts that we had our second string pretty much playing. We had players who were coming in with their first starts, like Nathan Collins and Will Keane and so on. So I don't really look at it as that type of game, the way people were going, oh, we could struggle to break down Lithuania. You know, it was our second string, and our first string came on and helped us win the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it was maybe half a second string. I mean, it's still the team he picked still should have been good enough to beat Lithuania. Look, it is only a friendly, and I think the goal at the end does change everything, and everyone went home buzzing, and it was great the way it finished. So yeah, I wouldn't be overly concerned or overly critical, but it is. I'm just looking back to last year and maybe the home game against Azerbaijan as well, which is another team that we should be beating. Now we beat them comfortably away, but maybe that's because we got the breakthrough early on, and it took us a while to break down Luxembourg away as well. I mean, the 3 goals came in the last 20 minutes or so. So it's it's not a major issue, but it is something. I think it's something to watch because if we're going to qualify for Euro 2024, we're going to have to beat these teams. And if we're going to win our Nations League group, we're going to have to beat Armenia home and away. I mean, Norway put 9 past Armenia on Tuesday night as well. Now, I'd be very happy with 2-1-0 wins, but you must win these games. That's the point. And you can't really rely on late winners.
Yeah, I get that, but it was, you know. Anyway, we'll move on because we'll just end up arguing over. Um, just in the second half, I have just there in the 54th minute, Conor Howard put the ball in there. But yeah, the game was ruled out for offside. I was actually ran down to get a coffee there, so you might be a bit more well equipped to actually speak about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm trying to remember the exact circumstances of that, but again, I did watch it, and the linesman they got it right. I mean, the match officials on all 4 offsides, they got them spot on. So um, again, we're putting the ball in the net, but they were offside, and even in a competitive game, you had a VAR as well. So even if the linesman got it wrong, they would still come back and pick up on it. But it is good. The finishing is good, and we're putting the ball in the net.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that, but unfortunately, offside goals do not count. But I felt as though we kind of had a bit of an injection in and around when the subs came on. When Troy came on, you kind of felt he was the only one trying to make things happen. Really, at the forward end, because Will Keane, for whatever reason, just struggled to get into the game. I don't think he's actually as bad as he made out to be, but I think he needs to be a lot better in future games and future friendlies if he wants to be considered. I mean, Troy got the chance and took his chance, and we'll talk about that. But even when he came on, he plays in James McLean maybe a half a second too late. He finds Ogbene for another offside goal. But that was literally just margins. If Troy maybe plays that ball a half a second there or a second earlier, McLean's in, he's onside and it's still a goal. But it's just one of them. But I thought he was direct, and McLean was quite direct when they both came on. I thought they were good subs at that stage of the game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, there's no arguing the fact that Troy did really well when he came on. Even leaving out the goal, he definitely made a difference. As you said, there was more urgency. James McLean was getting down the wing. He was causing problems, and he was in a more forward role as well. Well, I suppose everybody was going forward at that stage. But yeah, so the substitutions did make a difference. We definitely, the last 15 or 20 minutes, they were more hanging on as opposed to in the first half when it was frankly just a boring game with not much happening. And even for the start of the second half, notwithstanding the disallowed goals. But the last 15, 20 minutes, we really had a go with them. Their keeper had to make a great save. We had 2 more disallowed with Chidozie Ogbene and Scott Hogan. I mean, it was... And Troy was a key part of that. He definitely... He brought a lot more to the game than Will Keane. And the problem is for Will Keane, I mean, he scored 20 goals in League One, which is a fantastic effort this season. He did look out of his depth on Tuesday night, so I don't know how many more chances. I don't think Stephen saw... No, look, Stephen sees his own things, but I very much doubt he saw enough to use Will Keane for the Nations League ahead of the likes of Troy, even Aaron Connolly, not to mind any of our regular starters. So his next opportunity, if he gets one, will probably be in November. And it depends on who's... No, it all depends on who's fit and available. It all depends on what Stephen saw. But for me looking, Will Keane did not look... He did not have a good game and did not look up to the standard required. Whereas, as you said, Troy came off the bench and made a huge difference.
Yeah, well, I just forgot there that the Matt Doherty chance where he done really well. He went by about 3 or 4 players, got into the box, and maybe on another day that shot goes in. The keeper made a good save with his leg. But then it was after that then James McLean and Troy came on. And I felt as though you're talking about players who probably had a chance to shine and didn't as well. Players like Alan Brown, Conor Howerhan. Howerhan was better than Brown, but still the two of them didn't really put a stamp on the game. Maybe you'd say for Alan Brown that's not his natural position, but he really did fail to put a stamp and a marker after doing well to score the header against Belgium the other night. You thought he was going to come in and do really well, you know.
Yeah, well, I think I agree. I don't think either of them put their hand up, and I don't think the set piece quality improved enough to justify Conor Hourihane as well. The one thing Alan Brown has in his locker is goals, and we saw that on Saturday. So I think he might be an option for Stephen off the bench with 15 minutes to go if we need a goal, because he's more likely to score from midfield maybe than any of the others. But as a starter, as a deep lying midfield player, I don't think he did enough anyway. And I mean, maybe Josh Cullen without playing maybe even enhanced his reputation.
Yeah. No, I think Josh Cullen was actually a big miss because of the tempo he sets for the team. Because I did feel as though at times we were very slow, very flat just to get going. I'm just looking here after 10 minutes after McLean and Parra came on for O'Shea and Will Keane. It was when Benny put the ball in the back of the net. Then Scott Hogan came on for Callum Robinson. And then the 81st minute, Adam Brown and Chiedozie came off for Jason Knight and Jeff Hendrick. And I felt as though that's when we were really putting it on the Lithuanians. I'll just see there, 88-minute, Johnny Egan had a really good header that was saved by Barkus. And then there was the 5 minutes additional time. Then the 90-minute McLean with a great cross to the back post, and then Doherty cushioned it down for Troy. And you thought that was probably the last chance of the game with the volley, and the keeper made a great save, went out for a corner. And then, funny enough, Jeff Hendrick then spots Scott Hogan, but he was in an offside position, and then he chested down with a brilliant finish as well. And then I have the final moment. But leading up to Troy's goal, how are you feeling? I know I was sitting beside you, but not everyone else here was. That's in the comments.
No, I thought it was gone. I mean, no, we definitely were throwing the kitchen sink at that stage, and they were hanging on. That was a magnificent save their goalkeeper made from Troy. I mean, that was full length, one-handed, tipping it over. Great finish by Scott Hogan, but again, as you said, it was offside. But it did mean the 5 minutes were actually up. I made it. We scored in the 7th of the 5 added minutes. So it did look to be over. We had the ball even back in our own half. I was expecting the ref to blow the final whistle. It would have been a big disappointment to draw 0-0 at home to Lithuania. And you probably would have been feeling, why did it take until about 70, 75 minutes to really have a go at them? Because they were really rocking at that point. I mean, they were having been comfortable and causing us the odd issue on the break. Suddenly, they were out on their feet. They were hanging on, and but it did feel like all was lost.
Yeah, no, but then McLean was very, very effective down the left. He's really put it on the fullback. Manning does actually quite well. Just before the goal, he wins the ball in our box and carries the ball up. And I don't think the goal would have happened if that hadn't happened. Hourihane hits a cross into the box, goes up in the air. Troy takes it down and unleashes a missile. And it was such a good way to finish the game and finish the campaign on a high. And I wouldn't say all the negative comments and negativity was gone from that, because there was still people saying, oh, we can't beat them and we can't beat these and that, but I don't care. And it's people giving out stick to people for celebrating. What's the problem with celebrating goals?
97th minute winner. It doesn't matter who the opposite. If you score that late to win a game or equalise in a game, you're going to celebrate it, and it just went nuts. And I think it's ridiculous to be complaining about that at any level. It doesn't matter who the opposition was. Of course, you're going to celebrate. And it was a huge outpouring of relief as well. It does change the whole mindset. It changes the whole thinking on the window. As you said, look, we're coming out of the window now. fantastic draw with Belgium, great game, great atmosphere. Went and did beat Lithuania, thankfully. And it does gloss over maybe a lot of the first 70, 75 minutes. But look, we got there, we got the win. And it'll quickly be forgotten about in June anyway. And look, those games are much more important. And hopefully we'll kick off the Nations League with a couple of good wins as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair enough. This echo in my ear is doing my head in. So every time I say something, I can hear it in my ear. If anyone in the comments is wondering, but yeah, that was it in terms of the game. Like, it was a fantastic way to win the game. I was absolutely over the moon for Troy. I think he deserved that moment. He's worked hard. He's gone back to basics at the start of the season after poor loan moves last season, and he's deserved that goal. I thought he deserved his goals in Andorra as well, and yeah, I just think this might be a chance for him now to really kick on from that goal. He's got that burden away, and now it should be time for him to shine with a bit of luck.
Yeah, we need to remember, Paul, Troy turned 20 last month.
Oh, I know, but I don't be...
He's still a very, very young player. And I know we've all probably had high hopes for him, even back to 16, 17. He did so well in that on UEFA Under-17s in England. And so, yeah, maybe the loan moves didn't work out so much. It does seem like it's working out really well from an MK Dons. Manager name checked him, said he's really playing well. He's sacrificing himself for the team. That won't go unnoticed at Tottenham either. And yeah, so as I say, he's still only 20. It was a great goal. He made a big difference when he came on. And yeah, hopefully he's going to be a key player for us in the years to come.
Yeah, just people in the comments there. So what I'll do is we're pretty much done in terms of the game. It was a great way to finish the campaign. So I keep saying campaign, but I mean the international window, you know what I mean. So I'm going to just read out some comments because I'm going to go back to the start because a couple of people have been asking. So Delboy Gunner TV says, hi Paul and Gary, how are you mate? All good? Sean O'Riordan says, hi lads, hope all as well. Hi Sean, how's things? Then Del Boy asked what was going to ask the Ukraine game is going to be a friendly if it doesn't go ahead. That's still yet to be decided, it seems.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knows yet because I've been chatting to some Scottish and Welsh friends as well. I'm trying to find out. Look, there's a war going on in Ukraine and people are dying. So I think UEFA and everyone has to be very patient on this. The thinking is that Scotland will play Ukraine probably the first. So we're due to play Ukraine in Dublin on, I think, is it Saturday? Would Saturday be the 4th of June, I think? Anyway, I don't think that match is going to happen again at home. I'm pretty certain that won't happen, actually, for a lot of reasons. So that the first match in that window will probably be Scotland-Ukraine. It may happen a couple of days early. There had been talk of Armenia coming to Dublin instead. So the game we were meant to play at home to Armenia in September would be played that weekend, and we could possibly play Armenia back-to-back. There was also talk of maybe extending the international window in June, but I don't think that's going to be possible for us in Dublin because Harry Styles is playing the Aviva, and I don't think there's any way that can be moved. So, are we going to have a friendly? Big fan, Paul. Got to admit it, you know. So, I don't. Are we going to play a friendly? I think almost certainly not, because we have to fit in 4 games in the June window. So games might be jigged around and everything, but I can't see any extra matches going in. So if anything, rather than play a friendly, I think we might play Armenia in because I think Scotland and Ukraine will probably have to fit in a 3rd game in September. And it would actually work maybe if we played Scotland and then played Ukraine in September. I'm only guessing at this point. It's all up in the air. But I certainly wouldn't be booking any flights. If anyone hasn't booked any of our away games yet, I wouldn't be booking any of them. And I mean even Scotland in September, because that could still change as well. Unfortunately, I have booked all my flights, so I'm hoping the away games don't change, particularly Armenia away on the 7th. Um, that's probably a good shout for the Wales final, be Scotland or Ukraine. And remember, you have Wales Nations League matches to move around as well. So um, I think at this stage nobody knows, but it will be sorted out, I imagine, in the next week or two.
Okay, there you go, Del Boy Gunner. I think he was the one who asked. Yeah. Stephen Callahan says, I think our midfield is the weakest out of the team. I worry if Cullen or Hendrick gets injured. Brown and Howard aren't the best at opening teams up, in my opinion. I'll leave that one to you, Gary, because I can't stand hearing this echo in my ear.
Okay, I said about Josh Cullen, I mean, he's become a crucial key player for us. He definitely has to start. I like Jeff Hendrick. He gets a lot of criticism, but he does do a lot of the unseen work. He works very hard for the team. And we're probably struggling. Well, I would like to get maybe a look at more Jason Malumbi, because he's somebody I really liked. In particular, when Stephen took the job first, when things were not going well, I think Jason Malumbi was one of the key players for us and one of the crucial guys, and he's fallen a bit out of favour. He's getting some game time at club level, maybe not as much, but I think Alan Brown maybe is an impact sub off the bench. Conor Hourihan, look, he's a decent enough player. He's an option to have, but I don't think he's putting his hand up to say he should be starting.
Yeah, no, I think that there isn't a whole lot of midfield generals coming through there, and Jeff has actually really picked up under Stephen Kenny. I feel as though he's gone back to the player he was before Martin O'Neill and maybe Mick McCarthy as well. I just think he has a manager there who has confidence in his ability, and he's playing better than he was with Newcastle or Burnley, any of those clubs. I feel as though he just really enjoys playing this Irish team. And you can see, because the passes he just be picking out and stuff. The ball for Scott Hogan was really good. It's just he was maybe a second offside and didn't hold his run that well. But the ball to find him was brilliant. And he's been picking out passes. He set up the goal for, I think it was Callum Robinson's hat-trick against Qatar. It was one of the goals anyway he set him up for. And he just looks to be really enjoying his football.
Yeah, I mean, he did play very well under Martin O'Neill back. And go back to Euro 2016 now, the early days. Yeah, I mean, he had a great Euros, but definitely I think he did lose his way a bit after that at club and international level. But I think he's as you said, he's back to the player he was. And for me, he would be a regular starter, and I think for Stephen as well.
Yeah, I'm just... sorry. I have so many things going on here. I'm trying to read out comments, make sure you're coming up on the thing. I'm just going to read out some more comments, because there's loads of people online. So Stephen Callan says, if this Ireland team does reach its peak, how far do you think it could go? What can it achieve, in your opinion?
Okay, what can we achieve?
Realistically.
Okay, realistically, because we are still a small footballing nation, and I think realistically the target, I would hope with a 24 or 32 team Euros that we would be qualifying for that. That would be my target. And then if we get there, to hopefully at least get out of the group. I think reaching the last 16 of Euro 2024 would be a phenomenal achievement. You can always have situations like Wales going to the semi-final, another small country going to the semi-finals of the Euros. But I think you'd need a lot of things to fall right on the day. I'd love to see us reach another World Cup. I love the World Cup, but there'll only be 16. There was only 13 UEFA places in Qatar. And you're looking at the likes of Italy missing out, Sweden missing out. There's going to be 16 for 2026. Could we make that? I think if we keep improving, play to our potential, we would have a chance of qualifying, maybe a bit of luck in the draw of qualifying for 2026. And that would be amazing because, look, I've been fortunate enough, you can go by my age and everything, to see us in 3 World Cups. I know a lot of our fans, most of our fans are a lot younger than me, and they haven't. It's 20 years since we've been in the World Cup. So even those that remember it were probably still in school, many still in primary school. So it would be amazing for the current generation of fans, and even for my generation as well, to get to another World Cup. And I think that would be special. I think that's possible for 2026 if we really play to our potential. But first of all, my first target would be to qualify for Germany. Germany's one of my favourite countries in the world to watch football. Euro 2024 is going to be amazing, and it would be absolutely phenomenal to be there.
Mm-hmm. Right, I'm just going to read through some more comments. I want to try and read out at least everybody who's commented. It's going to be really annoying because it's in my ear, but we're going to do it for the lads. So Sean O'Regan says, I remember Will Keane making his Man United debut under Louis van Gaal in 2016. How he's fallen considering the rave of views at the time and the prospects to make a name for himself. This was 6 years ago. Wow. Max says, I think our Nations League record is going to be 2-3-1. Loss against Scotland away, win versus Armenia home and away, draw Scotland home, and draw Ukraine home and away. Del Boy Gunner, if you want to stop me at any point, Gary, to have a word.
It's probably a good show for the Nations League. I would hope we could maybe get a win against Ukraine or Scotland. But yeah, look,
if we play them.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, well, hopefully by then Russia will feck off. Del Boy Gunner says, I think we need a replacement for Jeff now. What younger player do you guys think could do it? Conor Ronan, Jamie McGrath, maybe, if they get back playing regularly at the club. If Conor Ronan can get in at Wolves, you never know.
Yeah, I was actually happy when Jamie McGrath went to Wigan. He's probably been a bit unfortunate in that he's moved to a team that's in flying form. They're second in second in League One with lots of games in hand. They're heading to the Championship, and hopefully, it's very hard to break into that team as well when they're winning every week. But hopefully, by next season, he will be able to break into the team. And if he's playing regularly in the Championship, I think Stephen knows him and likes him, and he could well get back into the side then.
Yeah, I think that's all it is. It's just game time really with Jamie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the comments are we at? Seamus says, that was the best finish I've seen from an Irish player in a long time. Absolutely class finish from Parrott. Delboy says, yes, Seamus. Christopher Scully says, what's the story with Obafemi? I'm getting a bit fed up with hearing about Obafemi this, Obafemi that. From what Stephen Kenny said, he felt as though he wasn't fit enough to come in and play in such quick succession, which makes sense in my opinion. He hasn't played more than 3 consecutive games in his career. That's what Stephen Kenny said. A lot of our players tend to come out on international duty and get injured, and unless it's a qualifier, I don't see the point in bringing players up to get injured and then derail their club form. So that's the story with Obafemi. I don't really think we need to go into any more detail than that on that. Seamus said he was very disappointed with Alan Brown. He gave the ball away so many times. Yeah, he tends to do that when he plays that midfield role. Kay Curran is talking about Obafemi, saying he rejected a number 21 call-up because he wanted the senior call-up. Stephen Kenny denied that, so I don't know why people spout nonsense if it's not true. Then Barry Camini didn't reject the call-up. Kenny confirmed he wasn't even contention for the under 21. Good man, Barry, you're clued in. Cormac O'Brien is a regular viewer, and he says, oh sweet, the stream is on, after giving me stick and the comments earlier on saying that we need to let people know when we're going live. So I did try. We had a lot of technical difficulties, and we still are having a lot of technical difficulties in my ear. I've had to keep stopping myself talking because I can hear myself and I think Gary's talking. So yeah, the things we do for you guys. Cormac Kelleher says, are you happy with going from 49th to 47th in the world ranking, or do you think it should or could have been more? I really don't care about them right now.
It doesn't make a huge amount. It really only matters for the World Cup draw, which is another kind of 2 or 3 years away, and the seeding for that. I mean, what really matters now is the Nations League, and that can determine what pot we're in for the Euro 2024 draw in October. And if we could win our Nations League group, we'd be a second seed, and with it's likely to be 10 groups with 2 to qualify. So being second seeds would be crucial. Third seeds, otherwise, unless we get relegated, disaster scenario. But it's the UEFA seeding and the UEFA ranking that's much more important than where we are in the FIFA ranking.
Yeah, so there you go on that one. I'm going to just keep going through the comments for the next 5 minutes or so. There's still a good few to get through. I just want to show my appreciation to those that did comment. I know you are on screen, but I have a window here with all your comments. Makes it easier for me to see. Christopher Scully thought Manning was really good. Yeah, I thought he was as well. Cormac O'Brien says, the speed of that power shot, it felt it in me ghoulies. Seamus says, that goal was worth celebrating just due to the pure quality of it alone. Absolutely. Chris Gurry says, no better man to score the goal than Troy. Ronan says, what a win, or what a great win. And he also says, how are you, Gary?
Hi, Ronan. Yeah, it was a great win.
Doesn't like me, obviously. Ronan isn't how I think. But anyway, Simon Campbell says, don't think Brown and Howard should be in the squad, one or the other on the bench. I can see why both of them are in there, and it felt as though Brown had scored a header and was probably deserving of a place, and Howard, he does have quality in that left foot, and I think you can't be calling him up and not playing him, considering he's quite a senior player at the minute, you know. Cormac says, would have loved to see Dunn and Ronan, but you would likely change the identity of play if you make too many changes. That's true. Cormac, just on your comment about with Troy, Gary, he says, he turned 20, that's a great point. If we're stacked in senior, he'd still be under 21. Really puts the under 17, under 19 results into perspective. Stephen says, our corners weren't good enough. We should have targeted the Lithuanian keeper more for set pieces, possibly. Yeah. Cormac O'Brien says, as in this under 17 players filter into under 19 into under 21, etc. Troy said,
yeah, there's a big step up. There is a big step up, even from 17 to 19 is a massive step up, and you can see players that really impress at 17 that just they still have to develop so much. So, as I said, Troy is still eligible for the under 21s. And by the way, can I just mention that a fantastic win in Sweden, and they're in with a great chance now of qualifying and making the playoffs. They have 2 games in Tala, home games against Bosnia and against Montenegro. And hopefully there'll be lots of fans turning out to support them. I think it's actually free on the season ticket. I'm pretty sure on that. And it would be great to get a big crowd in Tala in June for them, because look, we were both at the Sweden game when Ollie O'Neill won it almost as late as Troy. In fact, it was the last kick of the game, and maybe technically even later than Troy then. And yes, I celebrated that as well. But sorry, Roy. We both did, yeah. And look, it's so anyway, going off topic a bit, but yeah, it's a massive step up for the younger players, but hopefully we'll have more coming through.
Right, let's fly through. Barry B says Gary Styles instead of Harry Styles. Simon says swap Harry Styles with Howard. Cormac has a good point there. He says Parrott literally saved Stephen Kenny's job for 10 to 15 minutes there against Andorra. It looked like game up. Gary's low point of last year, and it's a fair one. Yeah,
that is. I think that is a fair point. I remember when we went 1-0 down to Andorra. I don't think Stephen Kenny would have survived a defeat against Andorra, and probably not a draw.
Yeah, it was a bit of a turning point, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
He's 2 goals. Yeah.
Yeah. and then again, Knight came on in that game and helped.
Yeah.
Or did he start? I can't remember anyway, but he
I
played.
think he came on. I think he
Him
came
and
on.
Horgan.
I could be wrong. Yeah. So
I can't see what that fella's. Lomza Unfiltered says, I was disgusted how the Stewarts treated the young lads who ran on the pitch after the match. Disgraceful. And he goes, just roughed them up a little. The girl in Portugal match was celebrated on RTF. The fact, as soon as young lads run on to their heroes, it's all a different ball game. You make a good point there, but we're not really going to get into it because we don't talk about football. Howard gets a lot. Cormac says Howard gets a lot of flack, and it's a difficult one. You can see the quality he has. He's unreal. He just might not necessarily look the part until he has come on and sub at 70 minutes. I think it's just more the way we play. Honestly, I don't think he's as bad as people make him out. But I think if you play for a team in like Serie A, where it was really slow, I think he'd actually look really good. It's just, I think in a high tempo, quick game, he kind of gets overlooked, or the game kind of passes him by a little bit because he does like to slow it up a bit. But he probably has the best left foot on the team, to be fair. Then this, what's his name? Unfiltered. I can't see. What's it? Sorry. Lom's Unfiltered says, not Howard's finest game in green the other night. He can be brilliant on his day, though, in fairness. Cormac says he just might not necessarily look the part until he comes on a sub at the 70th minute due to a lack of those physical attributes. Then Simon says Jake Doyle Hayes may become an option. I don't think so. Cormac says, ha ha ha, stick on the comments. Sorry, just love what you guys do. Cian Riley 07 says, our best game under Kenny, probably the Qatar game, in my opinion. You, Gary?
The only thing I'd say about the Qatar game is the opposition. I mean, they looked really poor. Luxembourg away. I think maybe even Portugal home, even though it was a draw, or even Portugal away, we actually played really well in Faro. And I know Ronaldo broke our hearts at the end, but I would take kind of the quality of the opposition into account, because look, I know Qatar are top seeds in tomorrow's draw, but just about every other country will be hoping to draw them. Look, I mean, we beat them 4-0, we blew them away. It was a great performance, but you have to look at the opposition. The same with Azerbaijan away, we played really well, blew them away 3-0. Luxembourg away, I'm not so sure about Luxembourg away, actually, because it was only in the last 15 or 20 minutes we really put them away. Azerbaijan away was actually that window in October was really impressive. If you take 3-0 in Baku and then 4-0 at home to Qatar, but I'm more inclined to go for games like either of the Portugal games when we played really well.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I'm just thinking of a game we actually won. But anyway, that's why it's all opinions. Jack Cooney says, we went up in the world rankings by 2. We already discussed that. Barry B, that's Barry Broaders, who's a regular commenter. He says, with the Nations League around the corner, how do you think our squad measures up to Scots, who are going through some of our golden age? Sorry. You can take that one.
Yeah, I mean, so Scotland were very impressive in qualifying. I mean, they finished second and well. I mean, they did a very impressive win in Vienna, and they finished second to a ramp in Denmark, and they will certainly fancy their chances of qualifying for the World Cup still. They're probably a bit ahead of us, whereas we had probably been ahead of them for maybe the last 20 years. But I wouldn't think they're that far ahead of us. I think they're certainly very beatable. And I'd still give us a good chance. I mean, I think we're still improving and we're getting better all the time. So maybe you'd make Scotland slight favourites to finish ahead of us, but I think we've got a good chance of getting decent results against them.
I'm just going to fly through the last two comments there. There's not too many left. Right. Cole McKellar said, "Did you guys see the LOI fantasy football?" I didn't. I've been so busy this week
Yeah.
working 3 jobs that I didn't get a second. Stephen Callahan, he says, "Paul, would you rather Everton to win the Champions League or would you rather Ireland reach the World Cup?" Well, that's an easy one. I'd rather Everton won the Champions League, but if you're asking me if Ireland were to go and win the World Cup, then that's a different thing. If you're talking about reaching the World Cup, and yeah, it's not a guaranteed trophy there, you know what I mean? So I think you've made that one a little bit easier for me. But if it's a World Cup, it's obviously I would rather Ireland win the World Cup. Yeah, I think that's probably what you meant though. Richard Merrigan says, "Do you think Obafemi has a chance of making an impact and becoming a first choice up front for us?" I do. It'll just be how he finishes the season. I think he could be involved in June if he finishes the season well.
I definitely
Couldn't be
do.
any worse than Will Keane.
Couple of things about him is he's got a lot of pace, and he's a good finisher. Now, I know it suits him better to play in a 2, which we don't really play. We play with one striker and kind of 2 number 10s behind, but he has potential to play regularly in the Premier League because of his pace and because of his finishing ability. It does look like he's found the right club and playing really well at the moment. So yeah, he definitely has a great chance.
Yeah, and I think, he could link up with the like of Chidozie and that, it gives us a lot more options with pace up top. And then you've got like Robinson, Parrott, Connolly, Ida. There's all these options all of a sudden. The Meatball may come good and he may get called up then, next season or something. You just never know.
He started for the under-21s in Boras on Tuesday.
Yeah, which was good to see after all the stick that everyone gave him. And we had said to just let him be and just get off his case. And now you looked at, he seems quite happy. He's posting about playing for Ireland. He's came out and said he always wanted to play for Ireland. It was just other people putting stuff out there into the media. Kay Karan says, I hope I said that right. Do you guys think Jack Byrne would be an option? Not right now, but he has the quality to get back in if he wants to. It's just up to him how hard he's going to work to get back in there, in my opinion. Gary?
Yeah. I mean, I agree, not right now, but if he's playing really well and making an impression, because that's probably what we're lacking in midfield, is that bit of spark, that bit of creativity. If we could get Wes Hoolahan 10 years younger, I mean, it's so Jack definitely has a chance, but he's got to be standing out for Shamrock Rovers.
Yeah, 100%, I agree. The last comment is from Cormac, and he says, last comment of the night, what do you guys think of the Luke McNally bid by Tottenham? Gary, I'll let you have that one, and I'm gonna say no.
I didn't actually. I missed
it's 2 million bid for him. Do you not follow us on Instagram now?
I'm not very good on Instagram. Okay, I didn't. I missed that.
This is why, see that. When you're the one that does everything, you have to relay the messages over to him. No, the 2 million bid to Oxford apparently from Spurs for McNally, who's doing quite well. I think he's got 4 goals maybe in 23 appearances for Oxford. And obviously Sykes was playing for them.
He was on the bench, yeah. It's great to see. I mean, look, if a big club, and I mean one of the big 6 like Tottenham, spots one of our players down the divisions and makes a bid like that, they've obviously seen something. You got to trust their judgment. So it's great to hear. I hadn't actually heard it until now.
Well, there you go. Breaking news, Gary Spain. No. Just wouldn't want you breaking the news. But yeah, we'll leave it at that. This echo in my ears is so annoying. You have no idea. But hey, I hope you like the new structure of the show, and I hope you like reading your own comments out on screen, and so you can feel part of our little community and you feel part of the video. Hopefully I'll figure out how to get this echo out of my ear anyway for the next one. So yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. And would you like us to do more live videos like this where you appear and you can answer comments and do like a live at 5, or we could do something where it doesn't kind of get in the way of other football matches like Champions League or stuff like that. So yeah, let us know, and we'll